All right. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Very excited. We have a student panel. And so, what we're going to do is provide a few introductions. I'm going to talk with you about the program overview, as well as having the students who are with us tonight talk about their best experiences and some things that maybe they would want to share with you on during their journey of getting into the MISP program, what careers are available to you, speaking with the two graduates, soon to be graduate and graduate, and then any final thoughts. And we want to make sure that your questions are answered, so feel free to ask all the questions. So, my name is Lisa Hepkin. I am the director of the program. Just to give you a little background, is that I've been over 25 years in education. I started this journey as a high school special education teacher. I've worked in the technical colleges, and now I'm at UW-Madison. So, not only am I the director of the program, I turn into your advisor as well if you decide to come into the program. So, I always tell students, you're sort of stuck with me. So let's get to just a quick overview of the program, is that our target audience are educators. This might be people who are in K-12, people who are in organizations that deal with educators or education in some capacity, tutors, anywhere that you find people doing professional development with others. That could be young people, that could be adults, whatever that looks like. We tend to have our cohorts be anywhere between 20 and 25 students. We work with 3 different departments within the School of Education. So you will get your degree from educational psychology, but we work with faculty in curriculum instruction as well as educational leadership and policy analysis. I'll talk a little bit about the requirements of admissions after we get done with our presentation, and you can see the cost there as well. It's about a total of $24,000. There are some scholarships available through the MISP program, as well as what we call the Wish Hub, which is something we'll put into the chat. So the real reason that you are here is to meet our wonderful students. So I'm going to go ahead and let Gabriel and Caitlin go ahead and introduce themselves. So Gabriel, if you want to go ahead and start out.
Yeah, my name is Gabriel Orlando. This is my last semester in the program here, which is very exciting. Um, I currently teach 10th grade social studies, US history and AP US history at a college prep school in Milwaukee. And I finished my capstone this past fall semester and am taking my final 2 classes this semester and looking forward to walking the line for graduation on May 8th. So it's coming up quick. I'm very excited.
And Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Janda, and I graduated from the MISP program in 2023. I currently work at Iowa State University as an instructional designer, which is essentially an instructional coach for faculty, helping them design high quality online undergraduate and graduate courses.
And Caitlin, do you want to tell everybody when you first joined the MISP program, what were you doing?
Yeah, I was teaching middle school general music my first year in the program and transitioned out of teaching for my second year and was kind of in between things looking for the next step. So, yeah, but I started off as a music educator.
Thank you for sharing that. That's just one of those pieces, like I think is really important of all these different career paths that are opening for our graduates. Um, and let's go ahead and jump into these questions. So the first question there is, why did you choose the MISP program? Gabriel, if you want to start us out.
Yeah, so I chose the MISP program is a decision first that began with choosing my major. I knew that I wanted to continue my education, and I there's a lot of options that are out there, especially in regards to continuing education in the world of education. So I chose educational psychology. This program really spoke to me because that's just when it came down to what I was most interested in, what I was most passionate about. And it also provided me a lot of opportunities, kind of like Lisa was saying, that as much as this program is focused on curriculum design and instruction and educational psychology in the traditional sense, that provides a lot of opportunities to apply that to leadership, educational leadership, apply that to educational policy, apply that to all different aspects of education. And so for me, it felt like something that I could take and apply to my current context and my current classroom right away.
Similar to Gabriel, I was looking at a lot of different programs and was drawn to the Miss B program because I was really looking for something that was applicable to my current context as a music educator, but also had the opportunity for me to, transition into something else or consider other avenues to something that would be valuable. And so I really was drawn to the idea of educational psychology and specifically liked the Misty program because it was fully online. We have synchronous elements to it, so live sessions within classes. But I met with Lisa before applying, and she really talked about how flexible the faculty are, as needed. They understand this program is designed for in-service teachers, and that those are some of the busiest people of all time. And so I was really just looking for something that was rigorous but still manageable as a teacher. And this was the best option that I found that just spoke to me the most.
Well, Caitlin, on that same line, what do you think was your best experience in the program?
Yeah, this is a tricky one because I really loved all of my classes. I've thought about it a lot. Like, are there any that I was like, oh, I wish I didn't have to take that? And no, every single one I loved. Um, it was just it was really engaging for me. I feel like as a music educator in my undergraduate, there were a lot of courses that I wished I could have taken, but there just wasn't time because you had to fit in all those methods classes for all those instruments. And so I think if I had to pick my best experience, it was probably the capstone project, which happens in your second year. You get to pick a topic that you want to really dig into, do some research. And for me, that was a really exciting time because I was out of the classroom at that point and got to just dig into a topic that was really interesting to me, and that I was looking at, the possibility of doing something with moving forward. So I think that the capstone, the whole experience going through that project, that research, and really just exploring something that I was passionate about was really fulfilling.
Gabriel.
Yeah, the capstone is a really unique opportunity. I also really enjoyed how that really helped me grow as a learner and as an educator. Um, for me, the best experience was my cohort. I really enjoyed and appreciated kind of developing a network of fellow educators. And you would often assume that a lot of us come from similar backgrounds, but I came to realize that we all came from very diverse backgrounds and taught in very unique, different school contexts. And that allowed us to compare our experiences and also learn from other experiences. There are areas where, in my school, I felt like we were really successful at, but in the areas that I knew that I struggled or my school struggled in, I was able to hear from someone else about how their school approached that area. And I thought that that was really cool to be able to compare my experience to the experience of other people in my cohort and be able to kind of learn, collaborate, and share and really participate in a authentic professional learning community in that way.
Yeah, and sort of on that same note, thinking about your cohort, and you're not just talking about people who are in the Midwest. In your particular cohort, you guys are across the world. I don't know if either of you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I know we've had people in really multiple states. I mean, I would say maybe half of my cohort is in Wisconsin, and then the other half is either in a different state or in some instances another country. We have um, one of my peers is in South Korea, which has made it's been really impressive to see how he's been able to commit to the time change for our group. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of this program.
Yeah, we also had a couple of students that were from other countries, and I think that really speaks to the flexibility that's offered in this program is that, even with those time differences, they're still able to make this work. Um, but yeah, like Gabriel said, there were just so many amazing connections to be had. I still keep in touch with a couple of people from my cohort. We have a book club. We meet every month, just for fun. But then there's also like a group of alumni that have a community of practice that to get together, and that's from different cohorts as well. So it's just you made so many different connections, and yeah, still in touch with them.
Yeah. So this is a question I get asked a lot. And so really interested in your answer of what is the time dedication to this program and does it change as you move through the program? So Gabriel, we'll start with you.
Yeah, that's a great question. It definitely, in my experience, I felt like every semester it changed, um, but only in the same sense that my instructor would change just about every semester. I did feel like the classes, they were really well structured. There's a lot of routines that I kind of got used to. And over time, I really felt confident in being able to get into a rhythm and to fall into that routine and to be able to keep up with my work. With that being said, when it first starts, it took me a while to kind of get used to that. So I'd really encourage. I think one thing that a lot of educators excel at is being able to find those routines and structures. So that's what I would encourage. I would probably, as far as an actual um, quantitative amount of time, um, I'd probably say I spent maybe averaged out to an hour a day, maybe of time for me. And then, of course, that depended. The capstone, totally different, totally different beast. Um, I just my personal advice, I was intentional about not having any after school obligations to really help me be able to focus on grad school, but also time away from grad school. So I think that's important as well. Yeah, so it really did kind of depend on the semester, but once you get into the routine and structures, then you start getting more comfortable, I guess.
And I was thinking about this question and I was like, I'm only 3 years out. Why can't I really remember how much time I spent? Um, but I did look at the MISP website and I think estimates 12 hours a week. And I think that's fairly accurate. Um, but some semesters were heavier than others. Now, I will say the program has kind of changed a little bit since I went through it in terms of what classes happen when. So, like, for example, this capstone that we keep talking about, that was a lot of work, but I also had that with another class, and I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's the only class offered at that time. Yes, okay. So that makes a big difference in my opinion, but I definitely think that, you know, maybe the summers are a little bit heavier, but that's intentional because you're not teaching at that time. Uh, that second year fall semester, when you have that capstone, I think that is probably the most time consuming semester because you're really trying to dig in and write this whole paper in a semester. Um, something that you're passionate about. And so I guess my advice would be, if you're looking at all the committees you're on and the extracurriculars that you help with, like if you know like that you can time it out so that whatever year you're doing that second year, you don't have all these extra commitments. I'd recommend that somehow so you can make sure that you feel like you have the capacity for that capstone. But yeah, I would say the 12 hours a week, give or take, is kind of pretty manageable.
Yeah, and so thinking about, that time dedication, um, what do you think was really helpful for you in order to stay on top of what you needed to get done?
Um, for me, I think I would say that, and Gabriel kind of was hinting on this, but the courses within the MISFI program all have a similar structure, similar layout. It's very predictable. It's very rewarding as a student to be able to know exactly like where you can find things within your course. These are things that I think about in my job as an instructional designer, so I can like nerd about it all day. But it really makes a difference that you can really like have this clear expectation going into the course. Um, I think that another thing that really helped me was just making sure I could plan things out, especially my first year in the program because I was teaching at the time and very, very busy, with school musical and extra clubs and lunch duty. It was a very busy time. And so making sure that I could look at that schedule ahead of time was really important for me to help me stay on top of everything. And I actually scheduled out time every week. So I knew every Sunday morning I was doing this work for this class. And, every couple of days I had time set aside for work for other classes.
Yeah, that was similar for me. I every Monday I hopped onto my laptop, checked my email for Madison, hopped onto Canvas, and I just wrote down all the assignments, everything I had coming up, any virtual meetings I had, and then just laid it all out that week. And um, eventually, you kind of notice a pattern emerge, and that kind of really helped me get into that routine I was talking about, where it's a virtual program, right? So it kind of just develops naturally, um, an hour or two block of time on whatever day I needed. And what's really a nice benefit is, unlike if you're attending a program in person, I was able to choose what time I would dedicate to getting work done. So um, yeah, just as long as you're staying on top of it and are having a structure to it, um, it can be it's very achievable as far as time commitment.
Thank you for that. And one of the things that Caitlin brings up is, during her time in the program, the program looked like this. And that's something I really want to highlight because it was her cohort who said, Lisa, you need to do something different. And that's the piece that I always like to share is that we're listening to you. We want to know from our students what we need to do better. Caitlin's group was fantastic at saying this needs to be done differently. Gabriel's course has given us lots of good feedback too of new changes that will be coming up in the program too. Just a piece I always like to highlight is that we learn every single year, every single semester from our students, and we take that feedback very seriously. Okay, they're really great questions. So, how has this program helped you in your career? I've already forgot whose turn it is. Is it Gabriel's turn?
Sure. So let's
Okay.
go with that. How's it helped me with my career? So I teach in kind of an urban environment, um, and we have a very high population of students who come from in immigrant communities. And so my capstone was on uh, fostering civic engagement in social studies for students from immigrant backgrounds. You have to have that memorized, locked down. So I did a lot of work with that this past fall, and this spring I found a lot of ways to incorporate that, being able to help students, working with my principal and school leadership to be able to provide some after school spaces for students to engage and talk about like current civic issues that their community might be facing. And then another exciting update is that we're launching a new campus on the north side of Milwaukee this upcoming fall, and I was hired to be the social studies department lead there. So I'll be able to take my experience with the capstone with Lisa, who was fantastic through that whole process, and being able to take what I developed there and apply it to a 9 through 12 social studies curriculum to be able to implement strategies and research that I had done in this program as I develop a brand new social studies department. So I'm very excited. It's been very cool to see how this program has um, already helped me in my career, but it's really cool to anticipate what could be coming next on the new campus.
So exciting. Um, this program has helped me. I mean, like I said, I transitioned out of teaching, and then my first year out of the Miss B program, I was working in higher education as an academic advisor, which was a wonderful position, but not closely related to my master's. And so, um, when I knew we would be moving across states for my husband's work, I was looking for that as an opportunity to find something that was more closely related to the work that we'd done in MISB. And that's how I came across instructional design. And so I think that while I love the content of the master's itself in educational psychology, really the skills from that instructional coaching certificate are what really most apply to my current role. And so, like I said before, I work with faculty and I basically am a coach for them and help them figure out what's best for their courses, whether those are online, hybrid, or in person, for undergraduate and graduate courses or programs. And so, I take all these things that we learned about in our course on assessments or about research or the course on thinking and learning. And all of these things are easily applicable into my current work. And then that emphasis on adult learning from that coaching certificate is just directly applicable to what I currently do because I'm not only working with faculty who are my learners, but we're also directly impacting adult learners in their undergraduate and graduate courses.
Yeah, this is like the most exciting part for me, right? Because I get to hear what everybody is doing after the program or now during the program. I'm just going to take a little pause here and look to our audience to see if we have any questions that you want to ask the panel.
I don't have any questions. No, I'm just excited and it's great to hear the experiences and the different backgrounds that each of you are coming from and where you are very different places. So it's just very interesting to listen to your perspective on that and what I can look forward to.
Yeah, thank you. So I always like to take this time for our students to have those final thoughts or takeaways for people who are considering this program. So Caitlin, what are your final thoughts?
Absolutely. I think that, what our audience members said is that, we came from different backgrounds and we ended up in different places. And I think that's one of the most attractive things about a program like this is that it really works for all educators. Um, I think with my background in music education, I'm often like was trained that I had to figure out how to like fit into some trainings or education that wasn't necessarily designed for me. And the great thing about this program is that it's really about learning, and that is applicable to all educators. And even if you're not directly in the classroom, this has a lot of uh, possibilities for you. And so I would just encourage anybody who's interested to really take a look at the list of courses on the MISB website and look at those descriptions. You can kind of see what's offered each semester. And, when I looked at those, they just made me excited. And so I would just encourage you to take a look at that and see if there's something there that's exciting to you and, that you want to learn about.
Yeah, one of the benefits of being in a program that focuses on how to improve student learning and just learning in general is that I felt like I was able to become a better teacher for my students, but also a better learner. And I think that this program really helped foster that in me, that ability to be able to not only learn new information, continue to sharpen skills, but to be able to learn how to learn and to learn how to learn in an effective way and in a way that allows me to really set my mind to something and be able to develop the figure out how to develop the traits and skills that I need and the knowledge that I need to be able to go and do it. And I think the capstone was a great example of that. It's something that I never thought I'd be able to do. But through this program and through this process, it equipped me not just to be a good educator, but to be a good learner as an individual. And that's really my biggest takeaway from it. And so I think that regardless of education, regardless of if you're in education or whatever, everybody's a learner and everyone needs to be a learner in whatever role they are in. And I think that whatever role you're currently in or whatever role you're pursuing or whatever your future may have, everybody needs to be a learner. And this is a program that helps you learn to be a good learner.
I love that. I love these opportunities to hear from our students because they really are the experts about what this program can offer. So I want to thank Gabriel and Caitlin for giving voice to the work that's being done in the program. And you can see they're just phenomenal students, rock stars. So glad to have you both to be part of this. Um, if you are interested in the program, please go to our website. You can see the admission requirements. If you apply before March 1st, we can waive that $75 application fee. All you need to do is reach out and contact me, which you can find my contact information here. If you feel also that you want to talk to one of our students and have a more personal conversation, we make those arrangements as well. So again, just reach out to me with any of your questions. And once again, I want to thank Gabriel and I want to thank Caitlin for being a part of this webinar, and to our audience, thanks for joining us tonight. So everyone have a great evening.